She handed me the divorce papers over breakfast. No emotion, no buildup, just a manila envelope beside my coffee cup. "I think it's time," she said, like she was asking for a refill of wine. It was 4 days after my mother's funeral, 3 days after the will was read, 2 days after the bank confirmed the inheritance, and 1 day before I realized she thought the battle was over. But she was wrong. That was just the opening move. We met when I was broke and exhausted, driving Uber nights just to chip away at the mountain of debt from Dad's hospital bills. She was Grace in heels, a marketing manager with a killer smile and eyes sharp enough to slice through armor. She told me I made her feel safe. I believed her. Our wedding was small and intimate, just family. My mother cried as she hugged me, tears of joy in her eyes. "She's beautiful," she whispered. "Just be sure she loves you, not what she thinks you can become." I should have paid better attention. We built a life together, or I believe we did. Lazy Sunday breakfasts, arguments about shades of beige, dancing in the kitchen at midnight. I loved her without pause, without second thoughts. Maybe that was my first mistake. The cracks came quietly, in whispers and shadows. Her phone started living face down. Laughter on late night, calls I wasn't part of. A new passcode, the cold shoulder in bed. Then one night, she smiled in her sleep and whispered a name that wasn't mine. I didn't confront her. I watched. When my mother's health declined, I spent more nights at the hospice. She didn't come much, said hospitals made her uneasy, but she always found time for Pilates and mimosa brunches. The night my mother passed, she wrapped her arms around me. No tears, just a faint scent of perfume and the chill of a hand that didn't belong to grief. In that moment, I knew she'd already left. Mom's will was short and clear. Everything came to me, but with one stipulation. "If your marriage ends within 6 months of my death," the lawyer read aloud, "the estate will be placed into a private trust, inaccessible until you're legally divorced." I looked from the clause to my wife. She didn't blink, just gave a small, unreadable nod. For days later, her intentions were signed, sealed, and left beside my coffee. I didn't protest, didn't plead. I signed the divorce papers that very night. "Don't you want to talk about this?" she asked, arms crossed like she expected a scene. "No," I replied. "You're right. It's time." That shook her more than any anger ever could. She packed up the next morning, left a few clothes, her favorite mug, and the wedding album, still pristine, unopened. I sat in the silence and let it settle like ash. Then I made 3 calls. First to my mother's attorney, then my banker, and finally to someone she never knew existed, Alex, my cousin, a forensic accountant, methodical and brilliant. For 6 weeks, I wore the mask of a man unraveling, mournful son, broken husband. Meanwhile, Alex followed the money. Credit card traces, travel receipts, deleted texts. She'd been careful, but not careful enough. There were restaurant charges in cities she never mentioned, hotel bookings under fake names. And finally, Ethan, her client, a married financial advisor. They weren't just sleeping together. They were planning their escape, whispering about how to spin the inheritance into their new life. She thought the money was already hers. But that clause in the will? My idea. Mom trusted me with the details, with the truth. She knew. She always knew. Revenge wasn't rage. It was measured, calculated. I invited her out for coffee 2 months into the divorce. She arrived confident, bold red lips and her signature smug smile. "I hope we can stay civil," she said. "Maybe even friends." I smiled back. "Of course. Actually, I wanted to tell you something in person." I slid a document across the table. She glanced at the title, * Irrevocable Trust Activation Notice Star. "I'm not fighting anything," I told her. "Just finalizing the trust release. So you don't have to worry about the inheritance anymore." She frowned. "What do you mean? You're giving it up?" "No," I said, voice low and certain. **R. 10 seconds of stunned silence. Then her whisper, "You lied to me." "No," I said, "you just never asked the right questions." 3 weeks later, her name surfaced in a scandal. * Alex had handed the file to Ethan's firm's ethics board. The affair, the financial planning around a client's assets, the undisclosed conflict of interest. Ethan was quietly fired. His wife filed for divorce. And my ex? Unemployed, publicly humiliated, and slapped with a tax audit courtesy of an anonymous tip. Those suspicious gifts she couldn't explain suddenly under scrutiny. For months later, the divorce was finalized. I kept the house. The trust activated. And on the day the funds landed in my account, I walked to the garden my mother planted, breathed in the scent of summer blooms, and felt nothing. No rage. No pride. Just calm. They say betrayal breaks you. It doesn't. It reveals. Shows you who people really are when they think you're blind. She thought she was clever. Thought she had played me. But she never even realized she was just a pawn on a board she didn't understand. Mom once told me, if someone loves you for the wrong reasons, make sure they regret it for the right ones. Now I finally understand. And I made sure she did. Checkmate.